This week, we are taking you to Palma de Mallorca. We had 5 days exploring this city and we tell you all about it so you can plan your perfect trip to this Balearic island. We cover where to stay, away from tourist areas, but close to the city, the easiest and cheapest way to get around, the best day trips, including magical boat trip, hikes with views to die for, and the most charming medieval village high in the mountains full of cute cobblestone streets. We did a lot of exploring on foot, by local bus, we did day trips. We also chilled out a lot around our fabulous accommodation and swam in the amazing Mediterranean Ocean. It was perfect. Stay listening to the end to hear about how we thought we might be stuck in a cave on our boat trip. Obviously, we live to tell the tale, so please enjoy episode 133, all about Palma de Mallorca. And to see all the pictures from this episode, then go to the podcast description on the player you are listening on now and click the link to episode 133. Hello, Lyle. Here we are back in our podcasting studio to talk to everybody about today, as I mentioned in the intro, Palma.
Buenos dias, Leonita.
How are you?
Muy bien.
That's good. So Palma de Mallorca, our last podcast was all about Port de Soler, which was one of our favourite places. And
it was perfect.
Yes. And now we're in the capital of the island of Mallorca called Palma. And we were meeting some friends there, weren't we?
You had arranged to meet our very, very good friends Annie and Wayne from Melbourne. And
they were flying in from France and we were meeting there for 5 nights. So we got a taxi, didn't we? From
Porto de Soler. The people at the hotel were kind enough to order us a taxi for the 38-kilometre drive to Palma, to our accommodation.
Yeah. What was our hotel? The Europa Playa Marina Resort, yes?
Correct.
And we stayed there simply because we'd been there before and we thought it was in a great spot. It was a great hotel. This time, though, it was quiet, wasn't it?
It was terribly quiet.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's the wrong word. It was wonderfully quiet.
Yeah, that's the fair call. Yeah, fair call. Yeah.
But anyway, let's tell people a bit about Palma and then we'll get back to the hotel and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, basically, Mallorca's got an international airport. You can also catch ferries from the mainland. It's only about 7 kilometres from the old town. That's the airport. And the cruise and ferry terminal are only about 4K from Palma Central. Mallorca is one of Spain's Balearic islands in the Mediterranean. It's known for beach resorts, sheltered coves, limestone mountains, and Roman and Moorish remains. The capital, Palma, has nightlife, the Moorish Almudena Royal Palace, and the 17th century Santa Maria Cathedral. It has 300 days of sunshine and a diverse landscape that's ideal for outdoor activities, including golf, cycling, hiking, sailing, and, of course, a host of beaches.
Well, yeah, we've never seen a cloud in the sky. And
No,
really, have we?
No, it's the second time we've been there, and it's magnificent, and it's best to visit June to September.
Mm-hmm.
However, it does get very hot in July and especially August.
But I guess if you're on the beach, you don't mind if it was warm. We were there in June, so it was perfect temperature, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For us. It was like about 30 in the day and warm at night. You didn't need a jacket.
Oh, no, it's beautiful. Like to go for a swim and that sort of thing in the pool, and even in the ocean, which we did do a boat trip, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
So as I mentioned, we did stay at that hotel, and it's a little bit out of town. It's at a beach called Illetes Beach. It's the area where a lot of people they come and they spend their time there. The hotel includes breakfast and there's restaurants and beach bars all around there as well. Less than 100 metres from the front door, you can hop on a bus for €2 and head into town.
Yeah, and drops you right in Palma Central, and next to the old town. So, yeah. So just to go back to the hotel, what was your favourite bit about the hotel?
I like the views, obviously. The pool, it's a beautiful pool, big round pool. There's lots of chairs. We had no trouble finding a chair under the shade. There's big trees. There's also a gym there. You're right on the edge. So you've got the round pool, which is in front of the restaurant area, and then you've got all the chairs and umbrellas that look out over the ocean. And I was a bit nervous getting into the ocean. There's ladders to get down into the water, but people were doing it all the time. So decided to have a go at that. And once you're in the water, it's really easy to float. It must be the salt.
Yeah, there's a lot of salt in the Mediterranean.
So you feel very, very safe, and you just got to get back over. The ladders on the wall are so strong and attached; like they weren't rickety at all. So I felt very safe getting in and out of the water. So I love that. What about you?
Oh, look, you just can't go past the view. I mean, but look, and the service was great. The lady that booked us in, she was there most days, and the other reception staff were wonderful when we wanted to order taxis and that sort of thing.
They were really helpful.
It was very, very quiet.
Breakfast was quiet. There'd be maybe 20 people.
Yeah.
So I think we timed that really well, actually. So I really enjoyed it, and I'd go back and stay there again as well. I think it's a great spot, just sort of out of the main area. Let's talk about what to do, because we had our friends with us, and I knew our friends Anne and Wayne. They like to be busy. They like to do things every day. They like to go and see stuff. So we're like, well, let's get out and get busy, and then we'll come back and sit by the pool in the afternoon. So you basically get on the bus and you head into town. Now, Palma, not surprisingly, but I think people are surprised when they hear it has a really beautiful old town. And because most people think of the cathedral, which is obviously the dominant part of the landscape in the city there of Palma, but the old town is this warren of beautiful old streets, isn't it? And where we hopped off was that Paseo del Born.
That's correct, yeah.
And that's where we hopped off the bus. I'm just like, look at this. It looked a bit Paris-y with the big trees and the designer shops and the statues at the end of the promenade and the walkway through there, wasn't it? So that was really beautiful.
As Leanne said, as you get off the bus, there is that Paseo del Born, and that was just beautiful. I mean, absolutely beautiful. Then we walked up the stairs and headed towards the Plaza Mayor, rooted in the site of a former convent. Its subsequent transformation into a bustling public space, originally built on the site of a convent of San Felipe Neri. It also served as a seat of the Inquisition until 1838. Today, the Plaza Mayor is a rectangular space enclosed by buildings that house shops, restaurants, and apartments. The ground floor features porticos with arches offering shade areas and space for business. It is the focal point in Palma's downtown area, with streets like San Miguel, James II, Colin, and Sindicato radiating outwards, connecting to other parts of the city, which is what you said earlier, how the narrow cobblestone streets they all just come out of this area.
Yeah, so it's quite a big Plaza Mayor as well. And as you said, the porticos around the side, so you've got all the way around the plaza, you can get in under shade, and there's restaurants there. But any exit you take, and the guy at the hotel told us this, it doesn't matter what exit you take, you'll end up somewhere impressive. So you might end up at the cathedral, you might end up at the port, you might end up through the old town. It's just one of those cities that's so easy to explore. It's not big. It's got some amazing historical buildings, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, close by is the Palace de la Almudena. Originally a Roman settlement, it became an Arab citadel, then a Christian royal palace after the 13th century conquest of Mallorca. The palace showcases a mixture of Moorish and Gothic styles, with remnants of its Arab past evident in the layout and some features. The palace includes the Chapel of Santa Ana, royal apartments, and the Patio de Armas. The palace offers beautiful views of Palma Bay and the surrounding area, and it is impressive. That's right next to
the cathedral,
and that's right next to the cathedral.
Yeah, so you've got the Plaza Mayor, which you can head out down these shopping streets. There are some bigger shops there, but there's also some local boutique and craft shops. And as I said, there's another that takes you down to the port, or you can head back towards the cathedral and the palace. But also the gardens out the front of that palace. You don't have to pay any entrance. You can just walk through these Arab gardens. You know they're Arab because of the shape of them and the water features and the beautiful plants and things. And then, of course, you turn around and there's the cathedral, yeah?
Yeah, so the cathedral is the Basilica Santa Maria de Mallorca.
So we went into the city on a Sunday the first time, and a lot of the shops were closed and the streets were very quiet walking around. And even the cathedral, which you could see into, but isn't open for tourists on a Sunday. It was a nice time to be in the city on a Sunday because it was quiet, wasn't it?
Yep, for sure.
So, yeah, we just sort of wandered around. We didn't know where we were going or what we were going to see, but we knew we'd end up at the cathedral. So, and you can't miss it. And from the cathedral, you can, see the water and as well.
Well, after we saw the cathedral, if you remember, the horse and carriages were just there. So we thought, well, why don't we do that? But I'll give you a bit of a rundown on the cathedral.
Yeah, I've got pictures. Like, you have to see the pictures of this cathedral. It has an interior, and he'll explain why, that is so unusual. There's parts of it that are just stunning and unusual, and you've got to go and have a look at pictures.
Well, initially I thought, another cathedral. Like we'd
seen so many.
We'd seen so many. But then there was a door open, and all you could see was light.
Yeah.
And most cathedrals, they're quite dark. And I thought, oh, what's this? And that's what drew me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it did, because it was fabulous.
So there's a link in the show notes, the description on the player you're listening on. It's podcast 133, so go and check it out. The picture's there.
Its construction started in the 13th century after the Christian conquest of the island. Initially built on the site of a mosque, the cathedral reflects a blend of architectural styles, primarily Mediterranean Gothic, with notable 20th century interventions by Antoni Gaudi and Miguel Barcelo. Significant changes were made by Antoni Gaudi, who focused on the interior design, including the altar and lighting. A large hexagonal canopy resembling a crown sits above the altar. 35 brass lamps are suspended from the canopy, casting light on the altar, creating an dramatic effect. The balcony's vertex features a sculpture of Jesus Christ on the cross with the Virgin. Miguel Barcelo renovated the Chapel of the Holy Sacrament, adding his unique artistic style. It features a ceramic mural and stained glass window evoking an underwater scene. The rose window, also known as La Seu, is one of the largest in Europe in the Gothic style, with a diameter of nearly 14 metres. It is made up of 1,236 pieces of coloured glass. It's renowned for its size and the unique light spectacular it creates twice a year, known as the Festival of Light. You tell me what you thought of inside.
Well, okay, the Gaudi stuff was obviously, it was Gaudi, and I've got a photo of that canopy. So that's very different. The rose window was obviously one of my absolute favourites. It's
amazing.
Yeah, and there was a dad and his little boy, and the dad was saying, look at these colours, and the colours were sort of on the little boy a bit. And I said to him, go over the other side, because the sun was sort of shining through that way. And I said, it's like this huge rainbow all over the floor. It's just so stunning. So that just made, I think I've got a photo of you standing in the rainbow effect as well. And so that's so beautiful and so light, as you said. The guy that did the other part of
Miguel Barcelo.
Okay. I don't know that I'm a fan of that.
Neither one. I wasn't either.
And like, he's depicting under the water. That's what he was doing. That's why he's made it sort of dark. But there's plaster sea creatures on the wall. There's a person, and they say that's him sort of trying to break out of the wall. It's definitely worth having a look at, but it is very, very unusual for sure. So, but what we must tell people is we didn't go in on the Sunday, the first day, but we went back to go in.
Yeah.
And interestingly too, just as a bit of a hint, we just bought tickets at the door, and we didn't line up at all.
Yeah, €10.
Yeah.
Each.
And you can get a audio guide for that as well. And you can go up the tower if you want to. We didn't choose to do that. I was talking to a girlfriend of mine who's going to Mallorca after us, and she was worried because she was having trouble buying them online. And I said to her, you just don't need to. Just go in and line up. There's plenty to see inside, and it's worth doing. And another hint, which we didn't do, but this friend of mine, Leone, did, she went back at night, and the cathedral at night lit up. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just stunning. So the hype about the cathedral in Mallorca is certainly justified, yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would have been so disappointed after going in and having a look. if we hadn't gone in,
Sure.
because it was just so different. When you walk out of the cathedral on the coast side, there's the Paseo Maritimo,
the Maritime Passage, and the port. There's lots of ships and things, and there's a promenade you can walk along, isn't there?
Yeah, it stretches along the coastline, offering a mixture of pedestrian walkways, cycle lanes, and access to the marina filled with luxury yachts. The area transforms from a daytime recreational spot to a lively hub of bars, clubs, and restaurants
and
at
I'm
night.
Sure they run concerts there, because the day we were there, they were either putting up or taking down some sort of staging down in that area. Yeah,
it's huge.
Yeah,
it is absolutely huge. And I mentioned it before, our horse and carriage tour. We saw the Plaza de Corte, which is dominated by the City Hall, a building with a striking Baroque facade. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, beautiful
which
buildings.
dates back to the 17th century and is a significant architectural landmark. The guide also pointed out the Oliveira de Corte, a 600-year-old olive tree considered a symbol of peace. It stands in the centre of the square. Now,
I think why we brought that up is because you catch the horse and cart there, the cathedral near the Paseo. Yeah.
Part of that tour, we went past the Arab Baths. Now, we obviously didn't stop there
on the tour.
But we did go back another day to have a look, and that was only about €3.5 to get in.
Once again, I got pictures of that, and it's got its original 10th century columns still. It's not a big complex, but it's certainly worth going to have a look. It's got a nice little garden area, and it's a lovely, cool place in the city as well, and quiet, isn't it?
And
people there.
What stood out to me was the original columns. So it was incredible. So that's definitely worth a visit.
So we're sort of combining 2 days here, but when we went back in and we're wandering around, we went down. The second day we went down onto the Maritime Paseo, and Wayne wanted to do a bit more walking, so we found our way down under a bridge and over the other side. And what was amazing is we ended up eventually back at where we got off the bus at Paseo del Born, and everything leads back to the one spot. That's so it's really hard to get lost, but you can wander, and then all of a sudden you're back where you started. It's pretty impressive, wasn't it?
And although we didn't do any shopping, there was a lot of shopping, wasn't there?
Sure.
In that area, and from high end to souvenirs.
So with the blog post that goes with this, as I said, click on the description, the link in there. It's episode 133. I've got pictures of inside the cathedral, the places we're talking about of Gaudi and the Miguel's artwork. I've got photos of our accommodation and the streets and that Paseo. It is really beautiful. The Arab Baths. I really took some great photos of Palma when I was putting them together in the blog post when I'm getting ready to record. You just think, wow, this place is just beautiful. Really. You only had the 5 days, but it was just really beautiful. So that's the old town. Just talking about beaches, though, there's sort of 5 beach areas in Palma, and there's the Playa de Palma, which when you're looking at the cathedral, it's away from the city, and it's quite a long sandy beach, and that's the one I saw from the boat, and it's got a promenade full of shops and cafes along that one. The one that's well known is Cala Mayor, which is it's only a small cove, but it's close to the city, and there's once again lots of restaurants and stuff. And I think that's where they were holding the festival of the San Juan at Cala Mayor.
Oh yeah, that's right. But that was where we were there.
And that's between where we were in Ilyetis and the city. The Palma's closest beach, which is just a short walk from the cathedral, is Can Pere Antoni, and it's got views of the old town. And as I said, Ilyetis Beach, which is the one we're at, but it's worth it because there's lots of little different beach bars and things. I've got some photos of a beautiful beach bar that we went to, remember? It's our second time there as well.
Yep.
And there's like a upmarket family-friendly one near the marina called Portos Nus. So they're sort of the main beach areas. So I'll put a list of those in the show notes on the website. So besides all the exploring the city and the beaches there, we wanted to do some things that I knew Wayne and Anne would like to do, and we would too. So the first thing I booked us was a day trip, was a hike up in the mountains. So we went up to a little town called Valdemossa, and we did about an 8K hike, which was all along the ridge of the mountain, and you could basically see the most stunning views the whole way, couldn't you?
Yeah, yeah. And that's only about 17K from Palma, and the mountain range is the Tramontana.
The hike, though, we had a guide,
Yep.
and she had to open some gates and had permission and to get into some of these areas that's not open to the public. We didn't see any goats this day. She reckons it might have been a bit hot, but I think along the way we had 3 or 4 different viewing spots.
Yep.
I'm trying to take photos the whole way, looking, oh, look at that. And she's like, just wait, we'll get to the viewing spot. And oh my gosh, you can see for miles. You're right up the top, so the hills just go straight down into the ocean, and you could see the rocks in the ocean from where we were. The water was that clear.
Yep.
There were a couple of special viewpoints along the way. Richard Branson has a hotel.
Yeah, that's the Son Bagnola. It's about €600 a night, and it's just like it's magnificent. And that overlooks the Puerto Valdemosa.
Yeah, that's the Puerto Valdemosa.
Yeah, and that's where Liam was saying you could just see straight into the water, and it was just glorious. And I had a look on. Couldn't help myself. I had a look on booking.com and had a look at the hotel, and it looks stunning.
Yeah, we can't see much from up that
high. No, but it does look stunning. And apparently it's quite a treacherous road down to that port. Yeah, so, and then we walked a little bit further along and we saw another viewpoint overlooks Michael Douglas. Yes, Michael Douglas. This villa. Again, you can't get close to it, but just the fact that you're looking at whose it is just magnificent. Everywhere we stopped for the viewpoint, the views were just stunning.
The hike was reasonably easy to do too.
Yeah, it wasn't hard.
Wayne had an operation on his foot. He had a bit of a sore foot coming into the holiday. I got a bit of a dicky hip, so I was careful to make sure it wasn't a difficult hike, and it certainly wasn't. The only thing that probably made it a little bit difficult was the temperature.
It was very warm.
It was quite warm. It's one of the most beautiful hikes you'll ever do. It was
it's stunning.
It is stunning, and there's so many different hikes through these mountains as well. So if you're into hiking, you can definitely go hiking. On your own.
To be truthful, neither you or I are hikers. We love to walk, but we're not hikers. But I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, and so go and check out the photos of the views. You'll be happy that you did. That's for sure. When we started our hike, we parked in this little town called Valdemosa. And when we parked there, we were the only car in the car park. And then our guide said, you wait till you come back. And the whole car park was full of buses and cars.
Well, it was a public holiday.
It was a public holiday, but it's also a very popular spot, Valdemosa. And it's this beautiful village, cobblestone streets, medieval village on the top of a mountain, and it's just like out of a fairy tale.
It's pristine.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's got some, had a convent in it and some gardens and things, didn't it? Tell us a bit about
okay.
Valdemosa.
So, brief history. While evidence suggests Roman presence, Valdemosa's name and terraced agriculture in the area are strongly linked to the Moorish period, the 10th to the 13th centuries. The Royal Carthusian Monastery. King James II granted land for a royal monastery which evolved in the Carthusian monastery. The town's frame grew in the 19th century when composer Frédéric Chopin and writer George Sand spent a winter there residing in the monastery. French writer George Sand's the pen name of Aurora Dupin. Adjacent the Carthusian monastery are the King Juan Carlos May-style gardens that feature stone benches, fountains, and native plants.
We found a nice little spot in there to enjoy the shade and get told a little bit about this history after at the end of our hike, didn't we? And I got some nice photos of that too. Yeah. I would like more time in Valdemosa, to be honest, and I think it's worth going early in the morning and spending the morning wandering around the streets. Yeah, definitely. We did get to explore though, and we got to see the highlights pretty quickly.
Prominently located in the main square, the parish church of St. Bartholomew was originally built in the 13th century. It was later expanded with Baroque elements in the 18th century, giving it a mix of Romanesque and Baroque styles.
Yeah,
the Valdemosa Chapel, Casa Nadal de Santa Catalina Thomas, birthplace of Mallorca's most venerated saint. There are colourful tile plaques on all the houses depicting incidents of the saints' life. The actual chapel itself's only quite small.
Yeah, it's tiny.
It's, and it's nothing special. Special.
It's in probably the most famous street in Valdemossa, and I've got a beautiful photo of that. But every house has, the tiles are probably 15 centimetres square. You can get them from the local council, and you put them out the front of your house. And I took a few photos of those as well, because they're colourful and pretty, and they're all different. So they're depicting things of her life, aren't they?
Yeah. They haven't been there that long.
No,
it's just probably a bit of a, I suppose,
touristy thing.
But it was, but Valdemossa itself, you can't go to Mallorca without going there.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it the first time we were there. So, definitely put Valdemossa. And if you're not into hiking, at least go and have a look at some of the views that you can see on one of the shorter walks, because it's definitely worth doing that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just it was stunning.
Yeah, and you can get a local bus up there if you don't want to do a tour. Yeah, you can hop on the local bus.
Now we're just about to tell you about one of Leanne's favourite activities.
One of my favourite things to do was a boat trip. Now, once again, I booked all this before we left home in consultation with Anne. And a lot of the boat trips, I'm going to put some links to all these tours in our blog post, beachtravelwine.com, episode 133. But I found one which was a small boat trip. There's a lot of big catamaran tours go out, and they look like a lot of fun. But once again, with my dicky hip, I wanted to make sure I could get on and off the boat easily and swim, right? So we booked this boat trip, and it had 8 people in total, so 4 of us and 4 other people. And the guide, wasn't he great?
Gabrielle,
he was fantastic. He made the trip even better than what it was. But it was the perfect day, and as we're going out, and you'll see in the photos, the ocean was like glass, and you're cruising along past the beaches, past the cathedral, and then we had 3 stops, and we were sort of ahead of all the other tours, it seemed, because we'd get to these spots and we were the only ones there. And you're a bit reluctant when you first get there. He's like, okay, who's going in? And the younger ones jump off the front of the boat, and I'm just like, okay, if I don't go in, we're going to be going. So make sure I can get down the ladder and back up the ladder. And look, once you get in the water, oh my gosh, the water was like the perfect temperature. It was crystal clear. The surroundings were beautiful. There was no one else there except us, and you could just float. It was magical. I just loved every bit of being able to get on and off that boat and swim in the water. So the first stop was this lovely little cove. Even though it wasn't rough, it was even more calm in that cove. And then we all hopped back on the boat, and we headed to our next stop before. And part of our tour is you got some food on the ship as well, and you could have drinks, so unlimited beer, wine, soft drink, water.
Yeah.
The next stop, we got off, and you sort of headed over into these rock pools, and beautiful blue rock pools, some of them quite shallow, and craggy rocks that you could walk around and explore. I've got this magical photo over the rock pools back to the boat, and there's a little passage that you had to go through to get into it, and we just sat there watching life go by. It was just, that was really nice. And then made our way back to the boat, where Gabrielle had our food all prepared, just some tapas type food. Everyone's just having the best day, and the other 4 people on the boat were lovely, friendly people, which always helps. And then we headed to our last stop of the day, and it was a little bit busier because there was no one at those rock pools either. And the next stop, there were kids jumping off the cliff into the water, and we realised it was school holidays, so that's why they were out having fun. But Gabrielle's like, come with me, we're going into a cave. And if you looked from the boat, you could just see this, it looked like it was about 10 centimetres opening above the water. And we're all a bit reluctant, especially Annie and I. But Gabrielle just gave us this confidence. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get stuck in a cave, but I'm going to do it. And Annie kept saying, I just kept thinking of the Thai football team. I was like, stop it.
Yeah, that's what she did too, didn't she?
And so we just followed him blindly. And you didn't even have to duck. Once you got closer, there was enough just to go under this little arch in the headland, in the rock. And under you go, and then you're inside this cave. It takes a minute for your eyes to adjust. And he's like, follow me. So we're not swimming down. We're sort of climbing over rocks. I'm like, oh, my gosh. Anyway, so he sits us down, and we're all got a little posse on the rocks. and he reaches down in behind where he's sitting and he pulls out these balls of clay, like literally from the rock face, and he's passing us all one and he's rubbed it on his face. So we're all getting this local mud clay. Facial. And then he's like, all right, well, I'm going back to the ship now to get your food. So see you later. And go that way or that way out. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. But we didn't want to go out the big opening because that's where the kids were jumping.
Yeah.
So we tentatively walked back across the rocks and trying to be brave and went back out and sort of ducked under
the ridge. Under the ridge.
Anne and Wayne went out before us. And then when I came out, they just burst out laughing because I hadn't washed
all the clay off.
Or any of it off my face. So washed it off, and oh my gosh, that was just amazing. And we get back on the boat.
But with the clay, I'm not sure that there's any medicinal purposes.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
I reckon Gabriel, she's taking the piss out of everybody.
Having a laugh.
Yeah.
Well, he did it to himself. So
So, but I'm sure he's just taking the piss.
So I think we had a beer or maybe a glass of wine because why wouldn't you when you get back on the boat?
Oh, yeah. Look, and it was unlimited again. Yeah. And also, I'm not sure whether you mentioned, there was free snorkel gear as well.
Oh, snorkel gear, and there was a stand-up paddleboard that people were using. He had a waterproof bag, so you could take your phone and stuff over to wherever you want to take them in the cave, or you wanted to take them into the rock pools.
to take photos.
Yeah. So, and he took that over for me. Like he just couldn't have been friendlier. And he also was playing music. And he's like, "What do you want?" And he played some AC/DC for us. I remember that was one of my memories coming back. We listened to the Highway to Hell. As we're heading back into Palma, we've got the beaches on one side, and he took us as close as he could into the port and with views of the cathedral on the way back, and that was to see it from the water.
Yeah, look, everything on that tour was fabulous. The piece de resistance was able to get photos from the water of the cathedral. It was well worth it.
Oh yeah, it was really beautiful. I loved it. Now, one thing we didn't get to do this time, but you should do, and someone sent me a message to say you need to mention this, and we do, is the wooden train. There's a tourist train that runs from Mallorca to Soler. And it's, as I said, it's a historic wooden train. It passes through all the orange groves, and we've seen it, and it just looks magical. But you do need to buy your tickets ahead of time. It does get quite busy, but it's a nice day trip. One of the stops on the train, though, is the Moorish Gardens, Arab Gardens. You can stop on the train. I mean, you can get there on a bus as well, a local bus if you want to, but I'd recommend taking the train. And it's just this beautiful historical garden area, isn't it?
Yeah, I've just got a note here. Is a historical estate and garden renowned for its unique blend of Moorish, Mediterranean, Baroque influences. The gardens are nestled at the foot of the Tramontana Mountains, providing awesome views.
So as you can see, the mountains are all along the island.
The garden design are characterised by well-maintained landscaping and water features, fountains and diverse plant life. Explore the interior of the manor house, discovering its historical and architectural details.
So there's things that we haven't done yet. We may have to go back to Mallorca.
Sure.
And after doing this podcast, and as I said, looking at those photos, I'd happily go back.
Yeah, and obviously if you do take the train to Soler, and once you're at Soler, you can take the tram
down to
Porto de Soler. Sure. And all the details about Porto de Soler are in the podcast that we just did.
It's episode 132,
Is spectacular.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Anything else you want to say about Mallorca before I add my last little bit?
Just as you said, close by the restaurants to the hotel is the Balneario Beach Bar.
Oh, this is close to where we stayed.
Yeah, and that was the one we'd been to the previous time, and I wanted to go back there from the first time.
Yeah,
it's great. Then we did Puro Beach Club.
Yep.
Puro Beach Club.
It's stunning views, but the food was expensive. Look, that's what I wanted to say. Honestly, the food in Mallorca this time was pretty average and very expensive, hugely expensive. And that was the only disappointment. But you are in a tourist area. Luckily, a lot of the hotels include breakfast, so you can stock up on a big brekkie so you're not that hungry through the day. But be prepared for very expensive food and drinks.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Another place we went to, Sorrento's. We had the pork ribs there.
Yeah.
They were spectacular, and that was pretty much across the road from our hotel. But the wine was so expensive, which is unusual for Spain.
Well, but the best meal we had, I think, was at the hotel, wasn't it?
Yes. Wayne wanted to try paella.
Yeah.
And in a
So
lot
you
of...
can't come to Spain without going to paella. And I didn't want to say it's probably not the best on a tourist island, but he was determined, and we did at the hotel.
And the condition was 4 of us had to have it, because they don't just... You can't buy it for one, and in this particular hotel, you can't buy it for 2. You had to have 4. So, and Annie didn't want to have it, so we just said, look, let's pay for it, let's do it.
Yep.
It was bloody spectacular.
Yeah, it was great.
It was a seafood one,
Yeah.
and the waiter had said that his comment to us was, "We'll make it worthwhile." Because the chef actually was a chef; it wasn't the waiter. He came over, he said, "I'll make it worthwhile," and then we were sold, and it was absolutely magnificent.
One of the things I got Annie onto, she's a red wine drinker, was Tinto de Verano.
Of course.
Yeah. That's always a popular drink, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So your favourite place, Lyle, to have a glass of wine in Palma?
I would say our balcony from our room.
Okay.
Mainly because it was just so serene.
Beautiful.
And you're looking out at the Mediterranean and over the
What
pool.
about, my favourite place to have a glass of wine was on the boat.
Of course.
Trip.
Yeah, sure. It probably wasn't the best wine, but it was...
Well, I couldn't remember. It was just magical.
Yeah.
But just something I did want to talk about, I'd forgotten, and if you've listened this far, thank you. One of the amazing things about Palma, where in our accommodation, we could see the planes.
Oh, right.
Taking off and landing, and it was like a conveyor belt. You'd see one plane take off, and a minute later there'd be another one take off, and then another one. Now, which, okay, big deal, lots of airports like that. But it was really fascinating at night because you could see the lights of the planes waiting to land. There'd be like 4, and they were like a step down. One would be up higher, a bit lower, a bit lower, a bit lower, and then one would disappear, and then it was almost like the same plane was taking off, even though it wasn't.
It was less. I actually timed it. It was less than a minute.
Just watching those planes was incredible.
Yeah, fascinating.
When does it stop? We're sitting here at midnight and there's still planes going, and then you're up early the next morning and there's a plane taking off. It was unbelievable. Thank you for listening to our podcast, and please go and check out the blog post at beachtravelwine.com. episode 133, and you'll see all the photos, and I'm going to put links to tours and pictures of all the hotel and everything. There's lots of information in that one. So. Yeah,
and there's been, just quickly, there's been a lot of talk about the anti-tourist protests in Mallorca especially. Look, we really didn't see any of it. So we were there for 5 days. Everybody was super friendly. It was great.
It was quiet, though.
It was quiet, yeah.
So we didn't see a lot of tourists anyway. Valdemossa was a bit busy. Soler was a bit busy, but there didn't seem to be an over-tourism problem wherever we were.
And there was no indication of any protest at either of those places.
All right. So it's goodbye from me.
Adios.